Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alista Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gacha, episode 48. So, the story begins with Kudo's mark activating, and she's in pain, and all of a sudden, she disappears, and now we know where she's at. She got transported to Gaelijah's lair. And so we move on from there to this next scene with Fuga. He makes his triumphant return from the character closet, and apparently after he was rescued, he left to go to his shack. So you're telling me that Fuga has been there this entire time, while Tokyo right now is in chaos and everybody is hunting down Kudo and Hotaro for their Kemi cards, while Spanner not only disbanded the Alchemy Association, but declared himself the overseer, and he was about to self-sacrifice himself and take down the Kings and Master Greyon all on his own. I'm like, Fuga, come on. Like, you're supposed to be the top alchemist in all of Japan, and yet I refuse to believe that you were unaware on what's going on in Tokyo, and especially to the alchemy students. What the hell? Anyways, Fuga has been in the shack after he was healed up, and he is nursing someone. And lo and behold, it's Spanner. Which leads me to question number 1. How in the hell did Spanner went from, losing in that fight last week to Fuga's shack? Did Fuga found him? Or did Spanner went to find him? Like, it doesn't get revealed, guys. But unfortunately, we're not going to get the answer, but, whatever. So Spanner is getting healed up thanks to Fuga, and then all of a sudden, Fuga gets a knock on his door. And it's Master Greyon. And Master Greyon is pounding on his door and yelling because he's like, "Are you in there, Fuga? Because I need you to help me save my daughter." And which causes Fuga to be like, wait a minute, is that Greyon? And of course we get the scene of Fuga opening the door, and that's the end of that scene. So after the opening credits, Master Greyon tells Fuga about Gaelijah's plan of turning Weird Sister number 1, who's been played by a 10-year-old, into a chimera, and she needs Kudo's life force in order to turn number 1 into a chimera. And the purpose of that monster is pretty much destroying the entire world. Which leads to Fuga saying, I knew that your daughter was modeled after my daughter from 10 years ago. Which, by the way, if that were the case, how come the actress who plays Weird Sister number 1 could not be Kudo from 10 years ago? Because if you notice that the girl who played Kudo 10 years ago is a different girl, and it's like, should you be like, they should be clones? So why is Weird Sister number 1 different from the Kudo from 10 years ago? Just asking questions, guys. I'm just like, what? Anyways, so he knew, and also he agrees to help Greyon. Well, he reluctantly agrees to help Greyon, but he straight up tells him, like, look, I'm willing to help you, but I can't overlook what you did in the past and what you're doing now. And Greyon himself knows that, yeah, I know I've done a lot of terrible things, but right now I am forced to go find you because I'm not powerful enough to handle this on my own, and I want to save my daughter, and she's the only light in my darkness that is, like makes me human, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. So that causes Fuga to say, okay, you want a tag team? I'll give you a tag team. Okay. So they both leave the shack, and we get to this final scene with Spanner. He wakes up and he reads a note from Fuga, and that's the end of that. So we move on from there to Jahalia's lair. Kudo now knows the truth, and Weird Sister number 3 wakes up, and instead of trying to help her sister and Kudo escape, she decides to go find her other sister. So she leaves, leaving the other 2 girls to rot, while Jahalia's like, okay, go ahead, leave. I don't need you. I don't need you. As number 3 leaves, here comes the tag team of Master Greyon and Fuga, and I was like, wait a minute, that was fast. Like, it was like, what, 10 seconds ago? Like, damn. But I'm like, how did they discover Jahalia's lair so quickly? And I'm like, I think Master Greyon knew where she was, so okay, if that's the case, okay, makes sense. But damn, it just happened so fast. But so they both show up, and then Jahalia decides, okay, well, I've been discovered, so you know what? I'm going to turn your daughters into cards. So she pulled a Yu-Gi-Oh! Not only that, she transports everybody into Fuga's old office from 10 years ago. Brought to you by 10 years ago. So the 2 men are trapped in the seal. They cannot move, and to make matters worse, they are forced to duel each other. And so Jahalia takes Fuga's ring and Greyon's ring, and she creates a gun and a bullet out of those rings. And she gives the gun and the bullet to Greyon first. And she explains that you guys are in a duel, and the challenge is whoever kills the other first gets to rescue the girls. However, if both of you doesn't do the challenge, then I will turn the girls into a chimera. So yeah, you have no choice but to duel each other. So we move on from there to Kudo, and she asks number 1, are you okay? Because she's asking out of concern. But number 1 was like, you don't need to concern yourself with me. Like, you're the one who's about to die. You should worry about yourself. I'm confident that Master Greyon will be the one who will come out on top and rescues me. So, worry about yourself. So Greyon takes the gun first, and we get a flashback at the time where Fuga and Greyon used to work together, and he confesses that he had not only a jealousy, but an overwhelmingly he had a hatred towards Fuga. Reason being is because Fuga still has everything he could ever want, and especially, he has a family, which causes him to create the sisters. And so he takes the first shot, nothing comes out. So Jahalia passes the gun to Fuga, and Fuga responds with, Greyon, like, you are a remarkable man, and someone who I can rely on, and just rely on, and just, yeah, that's it, just to rely on, and to depend on, of course, to add that too. But he could not understand the man. Like, he couldn't understand his mind. And even as a doll, like, he knows that the desire to protect like a loved one, your child. He shoots, nothing comes out. So as they were dueling, here comes another question for you guys. Because, here's another question. How in the hell did Hotaro find Jahelia's lair so quickly too? Is there a giant arrow pointing at Jahelia's lair and be like, hey, you can find her here? Because somehow, some way, Hotaro found it so quickly, and he finds the ropes, which leads him to this mirror and sees Fuga. And this is where, Fuga reacts to, Hotaro, and Hotaro decides to break the mirror with his sword, but unfortunately it doesn't work. Thanks to Jahelia. So Jahelia explains that you cannot break the mirror. The only way to get into this room is, items are items needed for this duel. If it makes any sense. So the items in question that are needed for this duel are allowed to go into this room. But Hotaro's like, okay, all right. But he decides to swing his sword and doesn't do anything else. So as Hotaro was swinging his sword, trying to break the mirror, the gun is passed back to Greyon. And at the same time, you see Rainbow Baby Dragon, shooting fire on the mirror, and it doesn't work either. And Greyon says his goodbyes to Fuga, his rival. And this time, the bullet comes out from the gun, and which leads to another question. I think question number 4. Could be wrong. I lost count now. Who cares? So the bullet is going through Fuga, it's going towards Fuga, and instead of hitting its mark, it just turns into a bunch of butterflies. The bullet transformed into butterflies, and to make things even more confusing, the gun that Master Greya was holding is started to float, and it turned itself into bullet Chucho. From there into Hotaro in his rider form, which leads me to my question: How in the hell did Hotaro made this switch? First of all, how did Hotaro quickly transform into a gun and then make this switch between the real gun and himself? It doesn't make any sense, guys. What makes matters worse is that there's no explanation whatsoever. Not even a flashback. There was no explanation. And Jahelia was like, how did you get in here? And Hotaro responded, like, a duel needs guns, right? But he never explained how he did it. And Fuga's like, you keep on excelling my expectations. And like, Fuga, with all due respect, like, he never explained to you guys and to us, the audience, like, how did he pull this stunt off? It was never fully explained. Like, damn, writers, damn. So, when that happened, Hotaro turned his sights on Jahelia, and then all of a sudden they both crash into this bookshelf and transported them outside, breaking the spell. Everybody's outside. The girls are turned back into humans, and we get this father-daughter moment between Fuga and Kudo, and of course Master Greyon and Weird Sister number 1. However, that moment gets cut off rather quickly because Greyon decided to change the seals on the girl's hands into his own seal, and which causes Kudo to be in pain again. And everybody was like, what the hell just happened? Like, Greyon, what did you do? And Greyon explained, like, I just made, like, a few, tweaks on Jahelia's plan. Instead of destroying the world, Weird System number one is gonna be the Chimera as usual, but this twist is instead of destroying the world, I'm gonna get my world of gold. And I'm like, damn. and Weird System number one was in disbelief, like, wait a minute, why are you doing this? I thought you loved me, and what's going on? And Grayon breaks number one's heart by telling her that the love that I gave you for the past year was not real. It was all a lie. Yeah. And then Jahalia was like, wait a minute, a mere doll, like, changed my spell? Like, this is not right. This is not right at all. Which leads me to another question, guys. Remember, Jahalia used Fuga's and Master Grayon's rings to create the bullet and the gun. How in the hell did they get the rings back? It doesn't make any sense. It was never explained either. Oh, God. So, Jahalia, being upset, she decides that, okay, so what if I kill one of them? Your plan is gonna fail if I kill one of them. So she decides to go after Kudo, but Hotaro steps in to save Kudo. Unfortunately, he gets overpowered and he demorphs. Of course, you may ask, like, how come Hotaro did not use any other, like, his rainbow form or platinum? The thing is, this episode is designed for Kudo's final form's debut. So that's the reason why Hotaro could not use his ultimate or his mega, because the honor belongs to Kudo. That's why. So Hotaro gets defeated. Now Kudo decides to step in and try her hand against Jahalia, but she too gets defeated. And all the while, you see Master Grayon and Fuga having their final showdown, and we see him, create his sword while Fuga decides to fight him will be on the defense and throw stuff at him and catching his sword swings. But clearly Master Grayon has the upper hand, and I'm like, Fuga, like, why are you catching his sword? Like, punch him or take his sword away. Do something other than play defense and catching his sword. Like, damn, man. This is supposed to be Yoda versus Palpatine, and this is nothing. This is like a downgraded version of Palpatine versus Yoda. Oh, it's bad. And what's sad about it is that we all know that Grayon is going to be the final boss, and that honor of defeating him once again belongs to the 3 Kamen Riders. It can't be Fuga again, unfortunately. So that battle between the 2 masters is kakas. So as the fathers are fighting each other, you have Weird Sister number 1 who asks Kudo, why are you doing this? Like, you know that you're gonna be dead soon, so why continue fighting? Well, Kudo tells number 1, the reason why I wanted to learn alchemy is to use alchemy to make people smile, and I'm going to protect that. And then Jahalia says, well, here's like, oh, really? So I'm going to shoot you with this magic bullet, and let's see if your faith in people's smiles is going to help you from this bullet, right? So she shoots, and then we have a time stop. The men are running towards Kudo, and number 1 is just stood there and just have this flashbacks of what happened during the past year between her and Kudo. And she decides that I'm going to keep my promise, and I'm returning the favor for what you did to me. And so she decides to come between Kudo and the bullet, and she tries to use her magic to create a shield. Unfortunately, that shield wasn't strong enough for that bullet, so it broke and it shot number one. And this is where we get to see the final moments between her and Kudo, and confesses, for the past year I've been jealous of you, and I've been jealous of you because of what you have between you and your father. I know I've done a lot of pain, I caused a lot of pain towards you, and also you were right about me. I needed a friend, and can you please forgive me? And she passes away without Kudo saying, look, I forgive you, can you please, just utter the words, I forgive you. But she says, can you stay with me? Come on. But unfortunately, she dies. She passes away. And so Kudo picks up the golden diamond, and that used to belong to number one. She picks it up, which causes it to turn itself into a ring, and its magic turned the driver into a new driver called the Twilight Driver, and we get to see the debut of Twilight Majade. And I have to say, the suit looks pretty good, and it just tells the story of Kudo and Weird Sister number one's relationship, because the helmet especially was trying to resemble number one's head. Overall, I think it's a cool suit, and it looks nice and all. And so Kudo decides to take the fight to Gaelijah once again, and of course Gaelijah was like, yeah, I still have the power of foresight, so you cannot touch me. But then this is where we get to see the new ring activating, and Kudo's body has a mind of its own. It delivers a slap, a couple of flips, and just delivering blows at Gaelijah, and which leaves Gaelijah into shock, like, what the hell is going on? I have the gift of foresight. There's no way that you have changed fate. And we get to this scene between Kudo and Weird Sister number one in this white room and this white curtain. And number one explains that apparently they both have become one entity, and her magic is allowing Kudo to change fate, to pretty much make Gaelijah's power of foresight become useless. And Kudo says, can you lend me your strength? And number one says, yes, I can let you borrow my powers, which causes Gaelijah to be like, what the hell is going on? How can a mere mortal defy fate and destiny? And Kudo has this speech, and which led her to do a rider kick on Gaelijah, and we get to witness the defeat of the first Abyss Alice King. So Gaelijah is destroyed, and I forgot to mention this, but I will say it at the very end. So Gaelijah gets defeated. We get to see the stone from the ashes of Gaelijah's corpse, and it gets split all of a sudden, and then it goes to Master Graham. Master Graham was like, okay, so my plan got derailed again, but you know what? I get the stones, so I'm happy. This is just, minor setback, but at least I get the stone. So he gets his piece of the stone, and as he was about to take the other half of the stone, Gigist from the character closet takes the other one. And so we get this verbal showdown between Master Graham and Gigist. just telling the other off that I'll be the one left standing and I will take your stone and blah blah blah, the usual. Even though, like, remember, like, in order for the stone to become whole, don't you need Hotaro's piece of the stone as well? Unless the writing changed, like, right now Hotaro has a piece of the stone. Either they forgot or I don't know, but they're telling each other off, and Grayon turns to the heroes and tells them, like, I'm gonna be the one, I'll be the last boss standing, and you guys will be witnessing the birth of Goldland. And he has his evil laugh, he escapes, Gigis escapes, leaving the heroes being like, oh crap. And that's the end of the episode, but I forgot to mention this powerful scene. When Weird Sister number 1 passed away, you have Weird Sister number 3. And she felt like something was hurting on her chest, like she realized something was very wrong. And I think deep down inside, she knew that something really bad happened to her sister, and she collapses. I feel bad for her. I really do, because she was the one who wanted her sisters back together. But now with number 1 dead, that can no longer be possible. And I want to say that number 3 placed her fate in the wrong people. Which leads me to my question. Is she going to turn to the Alliance? Or is she going to be on her own? But something tells me she will look for her sister, and and number 2 is going to convince her to please, like I know you have nowhere else to go since our sister passed away. You can come with me and possibly be human like me. I mean, these people are my friends. They are not the ones who took me away. I left because it was my choice, my decision. You can leave too. Because when you think about it, Grayon not only betrayed her sister, but betrayed herself. Like, Master Grayon betrayed pretty much everybody in his group. And where can she go? She can't go back to Gigist. That's the last place she will return to. So either she will go through this on her own, or, which I'm guessing that she will look for her other sister and possibly join forces with the Alliance. That's what I think is going to happen. Especially when we only have 2 episodes left. So that's the only solution that's going to be made possible. Even though this episode, for me, after watching it twice, it just left me confused and frustrated because of the questions I asked you guys. But at the same time, I felt sad, not because of what happened with Weird Sister number 1, but I'm more sad for Weird Sister number 3, because like I mentioned earlier, she placed her fate, her wish, in the wrong people, and her sister is gone, and now she has nowhere else to turn except maybe finding her other sister, and with the possibility of her joining forces with the heroes, which I know that's going to happen, because I don't see her again like going on her own or going back to Gigis or Master Grayon after everything that's happened. So I feel more sorry for her than anybody else. Fuga staying in the shack while Tokyo is, figuratively speaking, in flames. Spanner showing up in the shack. Like, how did he went from point A to point B without what happened in the middle? Kudo's final form, it looks good. Not to poo-poo it or anything, it just looks good. Gaelijah being defeated, which I thought that the kings were immortal, but apparently not anymore. And Grayon asking Fuga for help. Why? Like, guys, here's another question for you guys. Like, why did Grayon look for Fuga's help? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. He could easily just go through it alone, but why need Fuga's help? Unless I missed something, which maybe I did, just write in the comments below. Like I said, for how many years? Like, give me, like, if you watched the episode, did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did it left you with questions and confusions like me? And if so, write in the comments below. If I missed anything, write in the comments below. Give a like if you like it, and please subscribe. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm losing my voice and just losing my train of thought and just talking wise. I'm just tired, guys. I'm so tired. And I will give my responses about the trailer for the new season. So maybe during this week or next week, I will give you a video of my response. Other than that, I can't wait for this show to be over, because I'm so frustrated and there's no mention of Hotaro's dad at all. It's just, at least we know what happened to Fuga. But Jesus. Okay. That's it. I don't want to ramble anymore. Thank you so much for listening. Give a like if you like it, and please subscribe, and I will see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny! 2 episodes.